Right guys, got something a little bit different for you today. I've been asked to do some tips on how to improve your impression. Now I'm going to do this slightly differently. I'll try and give you some tips on how to improve your impression, but also tips on how to improve how the public will view you if you're doing display events. So I've got a little list of things that I've written down that should help in both of them ways, and we'll start through them now. Right, the first thing I want to say, I think this is a big deal. This is to do with how the public will perceive you if you're at events, and it has to do with this, your phone. Now there isn't much that ruins an event or a photo if someone's taken one of you more than showing someone with their phone out on the phone, on Facebook, whatever they're doing with it. Obviously keep these with you, have the volume up if people might need to contact you for an emergency, but don't sit there like this when you're at an event. You've got your uniform on, you got your vehicle, whatever you're doing, you're sitting there on Facebook, public are walking past, it looks awful. So I would advise against that at all costs. Just keep it in your pocket, keep it out of the way, and that'll make a big difference. Otherwise, you know what will happen. There'll be that one photo of you end up on the internet somewhere, and that'll just be you on your phone. Right, the second thing that I'm going to point out is to do, if you do an American display and you're using buckle boots or the rough out boots, please dubbin your boots, treat the boots. As you can see here, see if we can get this in frame, mine look quite a lot darker than what you'd get when they're new. That's because they come untreated. They would have been dubbined in the war, which would have made them look a lot darker. I've just used modern dubbing on these, so they're probably still a bit lighter than they should be. But get some dubbing on your boots. Not only does it stop them from staining if they get any water on them at all, it protects them, it will help keep your feet dry, and it makes them look way more authentic. If you've got brand new boots, untreated, they do not look very good at all, really, if you're trying to have an authentic impression. Number 3 is to do with new people who are now entering the hobby. What you want to do first is get the basics right. Now, there are some things that I think are more important than others when you first start out, and this is all to do with uniform. So you want to get the basics of a uniform first, I think. So I would say that's the jacket, the trousers, and the footwear. You can get away, if you've got your jacket done up, you can get away with not having the undershirt to begin with. You can get away with not having a helmet. But you want to get your jacket and your trousers and your footwear. I think they're the first 3 items that anyone could get. Once you've got them, you can go to an event, you can find a group, you can start adding things after that. But without them 3 items, then you're not going to really look right in any way. So that's how I started. I got the jacket and the trousers and the boots and a helmet, though like I say, I wouldn't worry too much about the hat if that's a problem. And then I just started adding stuff from there, and that got completely out of hand basically. So that's what I would say for beginners, the most important 3 things you can start out by getting. The next thing I want to bring up is an idea for when you're doing displays, and this is for the public's benefit really. Find things for you to do what they can watch you doing. Some people, not everyone when they want to come and see you, necessarily going to talk, they're not necessarily going to want to know about all the bits and pieces. A lot of the public just walk past and they are just looking at what's going on. So what you ought to do is try and find stuff that you can do, what they can then watch, or at least see you doing in the background. Now I've got an example of that here. Last year I put together a musette bag full of personal items and bits and pieces like that, and including in this bag is a couple of things that let me do what I just say. So we've got a German Esbit stove, and literally the process of just getting this out, setting it light with going, getting your water canteen on top of it and making yourself a cup of tea or coffee. This seems to be one of the things that the public like most when I'm doing displays. You've got the vehicles there, you've got the guns there, you've got all of the equipment, you'll talk to them as much as they want, but they just seem to love watching you sitting on the floor making a cup of tea with an Esbit stove. And it's very strange, but I've noticed that. What I've also got is one of these ration crates here. It's just got all my canteens and mess kits in. So if you're doing a weekend event, you'll often have a bunch of your friends and that in the evenings, you'll have some food, do bits and pieces. And what I have is in the morning, after the event started, the next day, I get that crate out, all of the dirty mess tins and everything are in there, and I've got a reproduction US cloth. I just get a canteen out with a cup, fill it with some water, and I just sit and basically do the washing up. And again, people seem to really enjoy it, and that's just another example of finding stuff that you can do that fits in and just gives people stuff to see. That'll really help the immersion, and that's you'll probably find you quite enjoy it as well. The next thing, which is directly to do with improving your impression, is research. Now, I'm lucky, I have quite a lot of time where I can sit and do research into all sorts of things, but really you can never do too much research. You want to decide what you want to do, find photos of it, find videos of it. There's lots of videos on YouTube of wartime footage. There's lots of very good research channels on YouTube. There's obviously the rest of the internet. It's got forums and all things like that to do pretty much every topic. Do your research, and then you'll find these weird little oddities and bits and pieces that you think, oh, that's quite good, we'll put that into my impression. Example being, I have an M1 helmet. I'm pretty sure it's post-war one. I'm not brilliant on M1 helmets at the moment, but recently I've reconditioned this, recorked it and everything, but that has a British net on it, and the reason that's got a British net on it is because I found a lot of photos and documentation of people in the 2nd Airborne with their M1 helmets with brown British nets on top. So I just thought that was a little detail that would make my impression look a bit more unique and give you something to talk about. So do your research. That also will stop you from getting criticised by people, because there's a lot of opinions out there, and that'll bring us on to your next topic. Right, so the next topic is a problem that I've noticed. I've been doing this now for just over 4 years, which doesn't make me hardly a veteran. I'm still pretty new to it, really. But what I've noticed is, on the internet, on social media, there's a bit of a problem with newcomers to this hobby going online, asking for help and questions, and just getting berated, called stupid, insulted, really not given any motivation to want to improve anything, and just thinking, well, this is rubbish and I'm not going to take part in that hobby anymore. And it is a big problem, I think, in the online community, especially in certain places. And what I basically want to say is, don't listen to idiots. So if you've gone online or you've gone on Discord and you've got a genuine question, or you've just put together your first uniform of just the basics, like I said earlier, and you go, I've just started, this is what I've got so far, what would you recommend I do next? And someone just starts basically saying you don't know what you're doing, or starts insulting you in any way, shape or form, doing completely unconstructive things, just learn to ignore them people. Just click that block button, write them off, don't bother responding, don't get into public arguments with them, it's just not worth it. And you'll find, because there's plenty of really good people in this hobby, and they will all agree with you when people just start berating you, so that it's just destructive to the hobby, and it is not going to help get the new generation of reenactors in. And that's what we need for the youngsters to come in still. So as they're so much more used to social media than the older people are, even myself, I'm only 34, but the youngsters, the teenagers, and they're coming in, they've got a lot more pressure from social media. I just want to say to you people, ignore idiots. The world's full of them. You don't need to listen to them. As long as you're doing your work and you know that you're making improvements, then you don't need to worry about them. Just hit the block button and then they don't exist. Now, on the flip side of that is the ability to take constructive criticism. Now, I've got an own example of that. As you see, I have glasses on. If I take my glasses off, I'm blind as a bat. I can't focus really at any distance, so that's quite a bad problem. But these glasses obviously don't look right at all when I've got in the uniform on display, and I was constantly, the first year and a half that I was doing this, I was constantly getting people say, well, the glasses look completely out of place. And they were right. Now, I can't use contact lenses, but what I eventually did, because I knew these people were right, so I got them, and I got these. Now, these are the pair of original period glasses, they've got lenses put in them that have even been made to have the right sort of tint and stuff like that on them. So they're really nice looking, and it has completely changed that aspect of my impression. It looks way better. The fact that I have to wear glasses now is a complete non-issue, and people have commented, the same people who are saying these glasses look terrible, they're ruining your uniform, they're ruining your impression, and they're saying that's really good, that's made a big difference. So this is an example of being able to take criticism, and instead of getting snotty about it, actually listen and go, yeah, they're right, and now I'm going to have to invest a bit of money into putting this aspect of it how it should be. So I would say, don't be necessarily hostile when people say stuff. If that's genuine criticism and genuine suggestions, take it and listen to it, because they're probably just trying to help and they want you to improve like you want to improve. Right, the next thing I want to cover is basically just constantly try and improve your impression. Tiny little details at a time. Don't worry about having to do it all at once. It doesn't matter, as long as you start off and you've got the right mindset. Then it doesn't matter if you've got to do it all over a very long period of time. If your budget's limited, none of that matters. So, for example, my main impression, which uses a Garand belt, which can be used for either the Airborne or the 2nd Armoured Division, that is to the point now where nearly every piece of equipment on it is original, except for the suspenders. But I have recently picked up a set of original suspenders which will be added to that, making that a completely original web gear setup. Now, originally, none of it was original. That was all reproduction, and that's absolutely fine. And it's absolutely fine to stay with just reproduction stuff. For a long time, I didn't want to use any original stuff in case I damaged it, but I've kind of got beyond that. So just have goals that you want to improve. I'm now working on other web sets that need some original stuff, and that's an example of that. As long as you're constantly got little targets for what you want to do, can be anything from, like I say, I'll get all my weapon to be original, to making sure your badges are on straight if you've got them on a bit wonky and you think, well, I need to cut them off and I need to put them back on a bit straighter. I learnt to sew just to put badges onto my uniform, because I've never had to really do it before and I'm useless at it, but I can now do it. That's allowed me to sew straps onto my helmets, bits and pieces like that. That was an improvement that I did for my impression myself. So that's another thing to keep in mind, just constantly try and improve. As long as you're not going backwards, people can't complain. The last bit of advice I'm going to give for new, well, I suppose that's for all people in the hobby, but mostly for new people, is I think that's best if you can focus. Focus on one specific thing that you want to do. I, for example, only do American, and a lot of people do some American, some British, some German, all at the same time. I find for myself that I can make one thing a lot better than I can have all of the different types of things going on, maybe with not quite as high quality. I'm not saying that other people can't manage it, I'm just saying for me that's much better for me to focus on one thing, and I think that's a fairly good piece of advice. If you pick something, focus on it, get it done, then move on to the next thing. Try not to get tons of different completely unrelated things going on at the same time. That'll probably end up just detracting from the whole lot. So just keep your focus, decide what you want to do, get it done. Doesn't matter how long it takes, just keep your focus on it. Right, I think that's all we've got for today. Now, I hope this has helped out some of you. I hope I don't come across as being a bit arrogant or anything like that. I'm just trying to give you some advice and tips to make your personal impression better, and to help you be able to interact with the public in a way that's more enjoyable for you and them. And how do you think of the new setup if I have it like this? Do some more videos in this way. I've got the lighting set up pretty well here. We've got some of the shelves in the background of some of the kit. I've managed to make the glare pretty good, I think. I'm going to be buying a better microphone for my camera, because I know audio quality is not great and there has been some background noise and things like that, so we're going to get working on that. And as always, just give us any messages. If you want to see anything specific in the videos, let me know. If you see any piece of equipment behind me that you particularly like to see, just say, and I'll pull out a video for you. Alright, thanks a lot guys, I'll see you later.